The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, welcome to the College Horizons webinar. This webinar is titled Navigating the Financial Aid Process and is part of our fall webinar series for students. Thank you to the students, educators, parents, teachers, and anyone else out there joining us today. A reminder that this webinar is being recorded and will be placed on the College Horizons YouTube channel. A link to the recording will be sent to everyone who registered as well. If you encounter any tech issues today, please use the chat box in your GoToWebinar panel, and I'll do my best to help you. To participate on today's webinar, we also invite you to use the question box that's located on the GoToWebinar panel on the right side of your screen. Submit a question at any time during the presentation. We encourage you to do that. At the end of the webinar, we'll have a few minutes for a question and answer session. We'll select a few questions to answer. Any remaining questions should be answered by email. Before I introduce today's speaker, I'd like to introduce myself, share a bit about College Horizons, and put a plug in for our 2015 programs. Dosha, my name is Hillary Abe. I am a citizen of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation, and I'm the coordinator of recruitment and alumni affairs for College Horizons. College Horizons is a national college access and success nonprofit organization whose mission is to facilitate the higher education of Native American, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian youth. Each summer, we offer admissions workshops for students. College Horizons, our annual program for high school students, which is held twice in 2015, and then Graduate Horizons, which is our other program for graduate admissions, is geared towards college students and college graduates, which is held every other year and is set to occur again in 2016. So in 2015, we'll be offering 2 College Horizons workshops. These are for high school students. The first program will be held at Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine, and the other at Stanford University in Stanford, California. College Horizons can best be described as a thorough crash course on the college application and financial aid process for rising juniors and seniors in high school. So if you are a Native American, Alaska Native, or Native Hawaiian student, or if you know any students who might benefit from this type of program, we really encourage you to share or view this information on our website. The link is at the bottom of the page, www.collegehorizons.org. So our application process is open to Native American, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian sophomores and juniors in high school who maintain a 3.0 GPA or above in core academic courses and have proof of enrollment or status. And the application to this summer's programs for high school students will become available on our website by October 15th. However, students can sign up now through the apply page of our website to receive that application as soon as it becomes available. So we also regularly send out opportunities for Native students through our College Horizons Facebook and Twitter pages and feeds. So we encourage you to find us there too. And now I'm excited to introduce today's speaker. Oscar Garcia is the Director of Marketing and Communications at the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation, an outstanding resource for students. Please join me in welcoming him to today's webinar. Thank you, Oscar, for leading us on this presentation.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm just happy to be here with you today to talk about navigating the financial aid process. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties in trying to get the slide to move.
Oscar, if you maybe try, next. There we go.
Okay. For all of you that are with us today, we are an organization. We are also a nonprofit, and our goal is to help any student anywhere in the nation to be able to get access to post-secondary education. Some of what you see on the slide that is before you are some of the materials that we actually have available on hard copy as well as online on this website, NM Knowledge for College, that we use. To begin with, one of the questions that students are always asking is, what's the average cost of college? for a student attending an in-state four-year public college university. Over the years, because I've been doing this for 34 years, the cost of education has really risen. And the answer to this particular question is actually bullet number 3. It's actually $17,860, and that's annually. So that's quite a bit of money that families have to come up with to be able to pay for the cost of attending colleges and universities. Now, the key thing that families always ask is, what is financial aid? Financial aid is actually funding that comes from different resources, which I'm going to be going into more detail. And the funding that is made available is used to help the students pay for their tuition, for the fees, for the room and board, for the books, for the supplies, and for transportation. Now, where transportation is concerned, students always ask me, does that mean that you're going to be able to help me make a car payment? The answer is no. We will not be able to assist with enough financial assistance to make the car payment. However, in some cases, if you need gas to get home, or if you need an airfare paid for, some of the colleges and universities will work it out into the budget to make it available to students. But these are the key things that the financial funding is used for, to cover for the tuition, the fees, the room and board, the books, the supplies, and the transportation. The next question that always comes up is, how do I qualify for the financial assistance? The key criteria are listed here on this slide, that you must be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, that you must have a valid Social Security number, that you must be enrolled at least half-time in a program leading to a certificate or degree, and that you must maintain satisfactory academic progress as defined by your school. On this bullet about the satisfactory academic progress, students coming out of high school and transitioning to college are used to being graded solely on the grade that they make in the class. When you actually get into college, they will not only be looking at the grade overall, but they're also going to be looking at the number of hours that you are completing per semester. So I tell parents and students, it becomes extremely important that you make sure that you get in contact with your college and university that you're going to be attending. Find out what the academic satisfactory progress policy is, so that this way you'll know how many hours you're going to need to complete per semester to be able to maintain the eligibility for financial aid. And then males, all males are required to register with Selective Service. And the question does come up here also, how do I go about registering with Selective Service? When the student actually applies for the financial aid application, which I'll be going into more detail in a little bit, there is a question there that asks, are you registered with Selective Service? And if you are not registered, then all you simply do is check the box that says register me for Selective Service, and that'll be done immediately. Now, with this question, parents usually ask, why would my sons have to register with Selective Service, being that there is not a draft anymore? The reason that the federal government asks for the students to register is that many of our young males do eventually end up getting careers that have to do with the armed services. So this is why they ask for all the male students to register with Selective Service. Now, what are the types of financial aid? There's gift aid, and when we talk about gift aid, that is money that does not have to be repaid. In that category here, you will find the scholarships and the grants. The work study program that is included here in this slide is actually a part-time job, and again, I'll be going into more detail on that. And then there are also student loans that are made available for any of the students that need that assistance to be able to pay for the cost of education. This next slide tells you last year how the students and family paid for college. If you'll notice here, 71% of undergraduates nationwide are receiving some type of financial assistance. And asked you the different types of aid that is being received, 59% of that financial aid is grants, 42% is student loans, 6% is the work-study part-time jobs, 4% are veterans benefits being used, and then 5% the parents actually end up having to borrow loans to help pay for the cost of education. So I know you as students and parents would like for all of your sons and daughters to get the grants and the scholarships, but looking here, you notice that there's still quite a bit of a percentage of students that end up having to borrow from the student loan programs. Now, scholarships, this is what every student is interested in. And the question that I always get asked is, who is the one that actually provides the largest amount of scholarship donations? And the answer is there on bullet number 1. It's the colleges and university. They are the ones that actually give the largest percentage of the monies that is available on scholarships. So if you want to start your scholarship search, this is where you will be starting it. You will go to the college and universities that you're interested in attending. You'll take a look at the scholarship requirements. And the key thing here is for you to check what the deadline is for students to be able to apply for the college and university scholarships. All the universities and the colleges are very strict about their priority deadlines. So if you do not end up meeting those deadlines, the chances are you're going to lose out on scholarship funding. So make sure that you target what the deadlines are and get everything that they're requesting in on time so that you can take advantage of these programs. Now, there are also scholarships that are awarded due to academic, artistic skills, athletics, or sometimes they're based on financial need. And again, the colleges and universities will be the ones that will be providing that information to the students. There's a lot of scholarships that come through private sources, and then there's also national scholarships that are available to all students. On the slide there, we have a guide where it says search for scholarships. I'll be going to that website at the end and showing you where you can go to, and you can click and it'll automatically take you to a lot of these scholarships that are from private sources and national scholarships also. Now here in New Mexico, we are a unique state in that we offer our students what is known as the lottery scholarship. In order to be able to qualify for the lottery scholarship, a student must have graduated from a high school in New Mexico. They must attend a New Mexico public college or university, and they must enroll in college the semester immediately following high school graduation. Now, there are other requirements for the legislative lottery scholarship here in New Mexico. Some of the universities may require for the students to enroll 15 hours and complete 15 hours to be able to keep the eligibility on the lottery scholarship. Others say if you attend for 12 full-time hours, then we will consider you for the lottery scholarship. In the past, it used to be that the scholarship was available for 8 semesters, but here again now there's been some changes, so the colleges and universities may actually limit the number of semesters for the funding to 7 semesters. If you wonder why there's been this change, nationally the trend has been that students are taking 5 to 6 years to be able to get their bachelor's degree, the 4-year degree. So what the federal and state governments are doing is they're trying to encourage students to be able to stay on a 4-year plan. And this is why many of these scholarships now are moving to where you have to enroll 15 hours per semester so that you can finish in the 4 years and be done with your studies at that time. Now, for the first semester, when the student enrolls in college, they do not get that lottery scholarship. They actually get what is known as a bridge scholarship. That bridge scholarship is monies that the colleges and universities in New Mexico are actually giving the students to be able to pay for that first semester of college. And again, if you wonder why doesn't the lottery scholarship kick in that first semester, it's because we know statistically that many of the students that are going to withdraw that first semester from college. Hence, they give that bridge scholarship first, and then the lottery scholarship kicks in the second semester. New Mexico also awards the scholarships, the legislative endowment scholarships, the competitive scholarships, and the Vietnam veteran scholarships. If you want information on that, we've got the URL there for the State Higher Education Department. It's hed.state.nm.us. And so you can either go to that website or you can go to the New Mexico College or University, and they will have the requirements for these scholarships listed on their financial aid website. These are the grants that the federal and the state grants that most students, regardless of where they attend, will be eligible to apply. The key one is that first one, the Pell Grant, and I will go over how you apply for the Pell Grant. But then there's also the federal SEOG grant and the TEACH grant. The TEACH grant is for students who are pursuing an education degree. The federal SEOG and the Pell Grant is for any other student that is eligible for those programs. Now in New Mexico, we have the college affordability, the New Mexico Student Incentive, and the Student Choice Grants. Now these are the grants for New Mexico. If you are going to be going to institutions that are in other states other than New Mexico, then look like for Arizona state grants, look for California state grants, Alaska state grants, Oklahoma state grants, and the grants information will come up because each state does offer their own grant funding. Now this is the work-study program. This is where students are hired to work part-time. Usually it's 20 hours a week. The good thing about this program is that it has flexible hours, and the students usually end up getting hired on campus. When I talk about flexible hours, the key thing that all colleges and universities want for their students is for the students to end up getting their diploma. And so if a student has some big exams that are coming up tomorrow, then they can go to their supervisor if they're scheduled to work today and just let their supervisor know that they have exams coming up, and what the supervisor will do, they'll allow them to be off today, and then they'll make up their hours later on during the week or the weeks thereafter. So this is what's really good about that program. For most colleges and universities, what they try to do is they try to match you with your course of study. So if you're studying business, they try to put you in the business department. If you're studying education, they'll put you in the education department. This way you can actually get hands-on experience. Now, this program I mentioned at the beginning when I showed the statistics of who gets the work-study funding, I said only 6% get work-study funding. It is not that the funding is not available. What is happening is that students don't want to work part-time. So when it's offered to them, they usually turn it down. Now, we have done a study nationwide, and one of the things that we have discovered is that students that actually work part-time under the work-study program have a tendency to actually have a higher graduation rate from college than students that do not work part-time. So the federal officials and the state officials are encouraging every student to try to take a part-time job if they possibly can, because it'll be good for them, because they get encouragement from the college staff themselves, and they actually get many times guided to other mentors that can help them if they're having problems with their subjects. It's a really good program, so take advantage of it. Student loans, this is the bad word. Parents don't like for us to even mention student loans, but because the cost of education continues to rise steadily year after year, we need to make sure that we make students aware that there are direct subsidized loans, direct unsubsidized loans, the federal Perkins loan program, and then the direct plus loan program that's available for the parents to be able to borrow money to pay for the cost of education. The reason that we make you aware about the student loans that are offered, there's many lenders, banks, credit unions that will offer private loans, and the private loans have a tendency to have a much higher interest rate. Currently, I have seen private loans where the interest rate ranges anywhere from 11% to as high as 22%. Whereas these student loan programs that are listed on this slide actually have a cap on them so that they will never go like above 7% for the direct and unsubsidized loan. It won't go above 9% for the direct plus, and it won't go above 5% for the federal Perkins loans. So if you students are going to need a loan, these are the student loans that we encourage you to get in lieu of trying to get those other private loans from the bank or the credit unions. Now, New Mexico has a shortage of some professional areas. Two of them here in New Mexico are nursing and teachers. And so as a result, the state of New Mexico offers the loans for service, and I apologize for that. Oh, now it's not letting me.
Did you want to type something, Oscar?
Yeah.
It may not allow
It won't
you to,
allow me.
but if you say it out loud, I can message it to everyone too.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to get rid of it, because otherwise it's not going to let me go further. Okay, there you go. Thank you for that.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, because there's a shortage for the service loans, You may want to look at the other states where you're going to be attending, because other states actually have these type of loan for service programs. For every year that you work here in New Mexico as a nurse or as um, a teacher, then the loan will be forgiven. And I apologize, this never has happened.
Are you having trouble advancing the slide?
Yeah, well, it's because of my security, it won't advance it.
Oh, okay. I can put it on my screen, Oscar, and then
Okay, could you?
yeah, let me do that. And then just tell me when you want me to advance to the next slide.
Okay.
Let me see real quick. Sorry, folks, for the technical issues. We will get
Sometimes it
started.
does happen. Now, as he's getting that screen up, which of these are financial aid programs, grants, work-study programs, loans, and scholarships, and it's all of the above.
Do you see the slide, Oscar, on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do you want me to switch to the next slide?
Click to the next one.
Okay.
And again, click to the next one. Okay, this is the site where every student is going to go and apply for the free application for federal student loans. Hillary, I need to ask you, are you seeing my authentication required screen on your end?
I don't know. I'm not seeing your screen.
Okay, good.
This is just
then
my
I'm not
screen.
going to worry about it, because on my end I have a pop-up that comes up and I can't get rid of it. But anyway, on this screen, fafsa.gov, please, everyone, when you are going to apply for your financial aid, make sure that you go to this website. There is another website called fafsa.com, and unfortunately that particular website charges the student for completing the application for financial aid. So anytime you're going to complete the financial aid application, go to fafsa.gov. And I always tell parents and students, gov, remember government. Gov is government. So if you think of it that way, you'll always know you're on the right website, because otherwise you're going to end up having to pay for completing your financial aid application. The screen that you're looking at is what the site will look like when you get to it. So every student, no matter which college or university you're going to attend, is going to need to go to this particular website to complete. Next screen, please. Okay, what does FAFSA stand for? I ask this question to students because this is an acronym that all of you are going to have to remember, because every year you're going to need to apply for financial aid. And so it stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Next, please. Okay, FAFSA tips. Again, make sure you go to fafsa.gov. Make sure when you're going to apply for the free application for federal student aid that if you, the student, has worked, make sure that you have your W-2 forms, and the parents, make sure that they have their W-2 forms or the tax returns that they have actually filed, because they're going to be needed in order for you to successfully complete the application. Now, parents a lot of times ask me, can we complete a paper application? That is no longer allowed by the federal government. The only students that complete a paper application are those students that are not U.S. citizens or eligible non-citizens. They are the only ones that are allowed. All other students have to complete the application online because it makes it much easier. When we used to process paper application, it used to take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before the student got a response. Now, by applying electronically, you will get a response within a week, the most 2 weeks. You'll know whether you qualify for the Pell Grant or not. Now, because you are completing an electronic application, you need an electronic signature. So that electronic signature is called a PIN, the PIN. Now that is 4 numerals that you're going to need to select in order to be able to get what is known as the PIN. So each one of you, the students, is going to have to complete your own PIN number, and then at least one of your parents is also going to have to complete one of the PIN numbers. So it's important that once you actually do get your PIN, that you always keep that number in a secure place, because you're going to need it again the following year and the following year until you're finished with your college requirements, because you have to reapply for that financial aid every year. Now, here in New Mexico, we do offer free FAFSA workshops. They're hands-on. Every high school has them, and we from our foundation actually go to those high schools, and we'll help the parents and the students to actually complete the application in the computer labs at the high schools. Check with your states, because I know I talked to a lot of my fellow officials from different states, and they all tell me that they too also offer some of this workshop. Maybe not necessarily at a high school, but it could be some other place, and they'll guide you to where those workshops are going to be held. Next. Hillary?
Hi, Oscar. Do you
Hillary.
see the next slide? It should be up there on the screen.
No.
Oh, okay. I advanced to it. So I'm not sure. It's the 529 education plan slide.
Okay. For some reason, it's not showing up on my screen, but regarding the 529 education plan, that is available especially for parents that have younger children. This is a savings plan through the state that you can apply for. I know New Mexico has their own. Almost every state in the United States has a similar 529 plan.
And then now we're on the last slide.
Okay, the last slide, that is actually the website, the NM Knowledge for College site that you can come to. It doesn't matter where you are in the United States. If you've got a question about financial aid, or if you're having difficulty talking to a college and university, students can actually chat with us, and we will respond to you live. And because we've got connections with a lot of the colleges and universities throughout the nation, most of the time we're able to pick up the phone and get somebody immediately, whereas you, the student, may have difficulty getting through because there's so many students that they work with. So this website is available. On this website, you will also find the scholarship URLs that I mentioned earlier, where you can just click on there. We have checked all of these websites, and we do know for a fact that these are good, secure websites, and they're free. Many of the websites, they'll tell you we'll find you a scholarship, and then they'll charge you for finding you that scholarship. We want you to be able to find those scholarships for free. So take advantage. Even though we're in New Mexico, you can access it from anywhere in the U.S. And with that, I am finished. Hillary, do you have questions?
Great. Yes, there are a few questions, and thank you, Oscar, for that presentation. I think it went pretty well because even though there were issues with the slides, we got that figured out for folks on the webinar here. So here are the questions that have come up. When should I aim to get my FAFSA in by?
Great question. What you need to do is you have to check with the college and university that you are going to be attending. Here in New Mexico, the majority of the colleges and universities have a priority deadline of March 1st. So everything has to be completed on the FAFSA by March 1st. But the community colleges generally have a deadline of May 1st or June 1st. And then some of the other public universities may actually have a deadline of April 1st. So it's important that you actually take a look at the college that you're going to be attending, and it'll give you what the priority deadline is there.
And right along the lines of deadlines, there's another question. How important is it to meet the deadlines for financial aid applications?
Extremely important. That's a great question. Because I've been working with students and families for over 34 years, one of the biggest disappointments for me is that we go out, we talk to the students, we tell them meet that deadline of December 1st for this scholarship or March 1st for financial aid, and they miss it. The students that miss a lot of the December 1st deadlines are the honor students. And all they had to do was apply by December 1st and they would get that scholarship. And because they didn't meet that December 1st deadline, they're not given that honor scholarship. So it's very, very important. Make sure that you meet those deadlines that are set by the colleges and universities.
Great. And the next question, when I'm preparing to apply to a school, who is the best person to talk to about financial aid questions?
Start, if you're in high school, my suggestion is start with your high school counselor, because a lot of the high school counselors come to a lot of our training sessions, and so they are already familiar with financial aid. If your high school counselor does not know about the financial aid programs, then I would call and ask for one of the advisors from the financial aid office that you're going to be attending, and they're really good about responding. They sometimes will even give you email so that this way you can communicate with them that way.
Great. And then another question we have, can you explain again why interest rates are important for students when taking out loans? For example, what's the difference between a 5% rate and a 20% rate?
Okay, great question also. Okay, the interest that is charged is determined for the federal loans by the federal government. And what the federal government tries to do is they try to make sure that the student is not going to end up having to pay an enormous amount of interest rate. Currently, right now, on the direct subsidized loans, the interest rate is like about 3.4%. That's very, very low. Mortgage rates run from 12 to 22%. Right now, they're also at 3%. Where that comes in, where the interest, when we're talking about the interest, if you have a lower interest rate, then the amount of payments that you're going to make over the life or the loan are going to save you a tremendous amount of money. If you have higher interest rates, you're going to have to make a much larger payment. And whereas many times the standard loan repayment plan is 10 years, when you have a very high interest rate, that 10 years can go up to as much as 25 years to be able to pay the loan back because of the amount of interest that you're paying on the loan. So the sooner that you can pay that off, we encourage students, if you're making payments, if they tell you make $50 payments and you want to send $100, when you send the $100, tell the collections person that you want the other 50 to go straight into your principal balance so that this will reduce the amount of interest that you pay over the life of the loan.
Great answer. That's a really important point. So the last question is in regards to the New Mexico service loan. Is this for students who are not residents in New Mexico, or is it for all students who have a loan and who are working in that state?
As long as they're going to be working in the state of New Mexico, they would qualify for the Loan for Service programs.
Okay, excellent. That's the last question we had. So we'll go ahead and close out. We hope you found the info on today's webinar useful. Thank you again to all those who were able to join us today, with a special thanks to Oscar for your time on presenting in this webinar. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and stay tuned, please, as we announce future online events by email. Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you.